Hello and welcome to Arsenal Domination. No doubt you'll have seen the fixture lists were printed yesterday. In fact, they were leaked early, which is something I don't really like, but it is what it is. And Arsenal have undoubtedly got a tough start. They will visit Old Trafford on the first weekend of the season. It will be a tough one. United will be better than they were last season. They can hardly be worse. But I don't think something necessarily for Arsenal to fear. But you want an easy as possible home tie, ideally on the opening day of the season. And they will also visit Anfield and St James's Park in their opening six fixtures, as well as facing Nottingham Forest, Leeds, and Manchester City at home. So a tricky start for Arsenal. Um, and it does put pressure on them early, and it will put pressure on them for sort of from two perspectives. The first is that they will need to want to make sure that their business is done early, because if it's not, that will cause a meltdown within the fan base, and pundits will be sort of using that as a stick to beat Arsenal with. But secondly, you don't want to fall behind early in a title race and playing catch up from September. So that will put pressure on Arsenal. I think the other way round of looking at it would be that Arsenal faced a tricky start to the season last season, actually fared fairly well. Injuries sort of started to derail the season sort of from the autumn time rather than that sort of summer period. But the other advantage that Arsenal may well have here is that actually sides are still getting up to speed at that point, which will include Arsenal, which actually means that if the reports coming out of Arsenal are true, that they want to get these signings done, they want to get them in early, but they may not necessarily all go straight into the starting 11 on day one, with Arsenal sort of finishing somewhat similar to the side they finished with last season. Something like Havertz up top, Martinelli and Saka wide, Partey if he signs a new contract, more on that tomorrow, sort of in midfield alongside Rice. That is a side that is familiar with each other and know each other and understand each other, and that could be crucial in those opening sort of weeks of the season when Arsenal will be facing these tough games and will be needing to sort of get some points, because sometimes that familiarity is actually helpful in those situations, and then can start to sort of blood in the new striker, the new left winger, Martin Zubimendi, after that sort of tricky spell has been negotiating, sort of get them introduced from the bench, and that might just reduce pressure. Of course, the other way around is that if Arsenal don't win those games and don't play those starters, it will really increase the sort of negativity towards Mikel Arteta. So, overall, it's a tricky start to the season. The middle of the season is relatively easy. That might be helpful to sort of Champions League games where you've got the travel involved to have sort of easier fixtures around them. But Arsenal ultimately, the fixture list doesn't matter. Arsenal need to go out there. They need to do their business over 38 games, and they need to bring silverware home. And ultimately, I'm not really too bothered about the order of the fixtures.